Hello class, my name is James Saunders and I'll be serving as your instructor over the next 5 weeks as we study the topic of adjustment. This video serves as an overview of the next 5 weeks. Some of the topics we'll be looking at, my expectations for you when it comes to assignments and interacting together, and what you can also expect of me. So first, I have here a hard copy of our textbook. Some of you may have ordered this online as I did, or you may just be using the ebook version, but you should be using Psychology for Living, the 2014 edition, as our primary text. Now, by way of overview, let me just say that for the next 5 weeks, we're going to be studying concepts related to, in large part, stress management, coping skills, the idea of change and how to approach change in a proactive way so that we see change as opportunity and not just a crisis. Along the way, we're going to also study concepts related to interpersonal relationships. We're going to look at some of what is considered abnormal behavior, abnormal psychology. Also take a look at some different therapies that are out there to help people have optimum mental health. So that is just a quick, down and dirty overview of some of the topics we'll be studying more in detail as we go along. I just want to welcome you to the class. I'm so excited to have you as part of this journey. I look forward to learning more about you when you do your class autobiographies to understand where it is you're coming from as an adult learner, particularly what programs of study you might be engaged in, your plans after undergraduate studies, those of you who might want to go on to do graduate work, become licensed counselors or therapists or human services workers. I just look forward over the next 5 weeks to having a chance to get to know you a little bit better and also entertaining your questions and things you may have of me to learn more about myself as well. So one of the things I want to lay out here at the get-go is that we have to make sure that we maintain a culture, an atmosphere of being receptive to each other's points of view. We are primarily here adult learners. That means we could span anywhere from the mid-20s all the way up to age 60 or perhaps older. So we have a lot of diversity, a lot of varied experiences and perspectives. So we want to honor that as we enter into our course of study. None of us is truly an expert, but we may have different things to share based upon our experiences and our education and training. So we want to come to all of our discussions and our group activities with an open mind and an attitude of grace and mercy toward one another. I do want to have our discussions cloaked in the how do I say it? Since we are a Christian university, I want to make sure that we entertain ideas and concepts in an academic way, but also always season our conversation with salt and see how does our Christian faith tie into the things we are studying, and how can it make us better practitioners, better husbands, wives, children, brothers and sisters. I want us to look at everything through the lens of Christ as we study personal adjustment. When it comes to assignments, the university does use APA as its writing platform, so I would expect you to strive to have familiarity with that. If this is your first class at IWU, or one of your first classes, you might not be exactly sure what APA style is all about. So I would encourage you, I will post here in a few days, I will post some resources related to APA, but also the school has links, access to writing helps and an APA writing guide. So in all of our discussion boards, your group work, and your papers, you need to write in APA format, which means that you're going to include citations when appropriate, and in most cases, it is appropriate. This is an academic exercise after all, so I want you to support your assertions with evidence from our textbook or outside readings. And when I say outside readings, I don't just mean any old blog or website out there. There's a lot of things online that are not really scholarly, not really to be trusted. So when you use outside sources, I'm encouraging you, I desire for you to look at the online library and find peer-reviewed journals, maybe another textbook that you've used in another class, but I want you to support your assertions and your positions with evidence from the readings and outside sources. We are going to have 2 group assignments, and I've already divided you into groups. One thing I want you to know is that in all the assignments and all the activities we have, I strive to be very accessible to you. You can reach me through my faculty email, which is listed there in the course information. You can get a hold of me via phone or text at 931-510-7747. I have a pretty good reputation of getting back to my students within certainly 24 hours, sometimes an hour or 2 after they send me an email. And if you want to text me, I'll text you right back as quickly as I can. And if you have to leave a message, I'll call you back as quickly as I can. I want to be here as a resourcer for you to help you succeed, to expose you to new information, or to expand the conversation on things you may already be aware of. One thing I like to do is post a weekly devotional. The devotional itself may or may not tie directly into that week's study, but it's just intended to center our minds on Christ and on what it means to be living a Christian life. So I'll be doing that every week. And before I end this video, I want to make a pledge that I will not have lengthy videos each week. And some weeks I might not. Just want to try to stay on top of what's going on and give you an overview when possible via video. If I don't do a video, I'll at least have an announcement telling you what's expected for the week. And I'm a big believer in trying to give my students access to information and resources. So I want to just share with you some material that is not part of the course, but it's a few books that I think are interesting, and they will, one way or another, tie into the topics that we look at through the next 5 weeks. So I want to give you a bibliography of sorts of some books that I think are pertinent to the realm of personal adjustment. So in no particular order, before we close here, I want to share a few books with you. One is this book on forgiveness, and I will include, with this video and my announcement, I will include all this bibliographic information. But here's a good book on forgiveness. That truly is a part of interpersonal relationships, learning how to forgive. Boy, oh boy, personal adjustment deals a lot with emotions, does it not? Even for us guys who might be a little more stoic and less likely to say we have emotions, everybody has emotions. Here's a short little book about healing wounded emotions so you can have the best life possible. Here's a book about resiliency called The Resiliency Advantage. Here's a really good book about interpersonal relationships. And again, I'm just showing you some things that I think might be interesting for those of you who like to have reading material or who intend to do any kind of psychoeducational work or therapy or human services work down the road. A really good book about interpersonal communication is this book called Bridges, Not Walls. A book that deals with personal growth, but also helping you as you strive to be in a career and a profession. It's called Your Attitude is Showing, and it talks about human relations, how to grow as an individual, but also how to grow in pace with your environment that you're in. Here's a book called Christian Formation. And now a couple of very academic books. We'll be looking at some of the chapters in our primary text. We'll be looking at development, especially adult development through the lifespan. So here's just a good textbook on development across the lifespan. Later in like weeks 4 and 5, we're going to look at abnormal behavior. So here's a big textbook called Abnormal Psychology. This book is called Modern Psychopathologies, and this book in particular looks at some of the anxiety and mood disorders that are out there, and it studies them from a Christian perspective. So it takes a look at these different mood disorders and personality disorders, but it also filters it through the lens of Christ. Very excellent resource. As I said early on, Later in our studies, we're going to look at some of the different therapies that are out there, personal adjustment and family type therapies, cognitive, psychodynamic, humanistic. This book looks at different psychotherapies, and again, it reviews them for their merits and their areas of need, and it filters them all through the lens of Christ. In a similar fashion, this book looks at family therapies in particular. There are quite a number of family therapies out there, and it takes a look and says, what are the strengths and weaknesses of each of these approaches, and again, how does it measure up to a Christian perspective of counseling? So, I've said a whole lot in just a few minutes. Just wanted to welcome you to the class. I look forward again to getting to know each and every one of you. Do not hesitate to call me at 931-510-7747 if you have any concerns, any questions, need any kind of guidance, or just want to get to know me a little better. Make sure, as the first week does get underway, that you post your autobiography. It doesn't have to be very long. Just let us know a little bit about you, and please, if you can, please post a current picture so that I and your classmates can know who it is we're interacting with. I look forward again to this course, and I hope that I will be able to be a resource for you. Thank you so much for your time. God bless.